Michael and Andrew, welcome to the Game Informer Show, guys.
Yeah.
So, lead designer, Andrew.
That's right.
Director, Michael.
Yep.
That's the way it works?
Yeah.
How long have you been a director on the project?
So I've been on the project just over a year now.
Okay.
Working on Leak before then.
Was this a tough one to keep secret for a really long time?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just what I mean. Making theme parks, playing space games, and dinosaurs. They're three ultimate things for gaming, really.
Really, like when I first saw this game revealed, it was that moment of, I'm also a Dragon Ball fan, but not as much as I am a Jurassic Park fan, and it reminds me of Fighters. When Dragon Ball Fighters was announced, like finally, the perfect team to develop this exact type of game, finally get those two to kiss, get the peanut butter and jelly together, you know what I mean? I feel like Frontier and a Jurassic Park sim is just perfect. I mean, what is the process like internally? Is it just secret negotiations and there's one meeting where it's announced to everybody and they say, yeah, I think we can do this?
It was a very long and involved process of sort of obviously working with Universal about the sort of thing they wanted to see, us demonstrating our strengths and also thinking about how would we approach a game like that.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of build up to it before we actually got started on actual production.
Are you guys just pros at Sims at this point, so there's no fear? Or with this license, was it a new level of like, oh crap, how are we going to do this?
There were definitely new things to consider with this license. I mean, I think it's it is a management at sim game, but there's new elements to consider with the Jurassic franchise. So, traditionally with management games, it's all about you build them and you build and you grow bigger and bigger and you earn more money. This game has that too, but it's also got, what the films have, which is that things go wrong. Things have to go wrong, otherwise it's not Jurassic World. So
it's got to be tough. I mean, in no other game, well, maybe there's some trolls and stuff, but no one plays Uncharted and just has Nathan Drake repeatedly jump off a cliff. Yeah. You know what I mean? But with Jurassic Park, like that's what you want. And so how you design a game where it's like, we know this is what players want to happen, but it's also punishing, that seems impossible.
But it's also how you bounce back from that, right? That's the heroism. Heroism in the movies is dealing with the calamities and trying to overcome the problems,
Just to make some more cash.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the most applicable game from the past? It's built on the Planet Coaster engine, right?
So
and kind of improved version of the.
Okay.
We have our own engine that we use for all of our projects.
Okay.
But I think we've had a number of titles over the years that really have fed into us being able to make this game the way that it is. I mean, even back when I first started at the company, almost 15 years ago, we were doing Dog's Life. So we're animating a dog through all kinds of landscapes and things. And ever since then, we've done various animal games such as Collectibles, we've done Zoo Tycoon, we've done numerous sort of theme park games, Thrillville, Wasti 3. I think it's all come together at the right time where we've got the engine for it, we've got the institutional knowledge for it, we've got the experience, and we've got one hell of a license.
I'm still a little bit confused about just the business behind this. Like I talked to a representative from Universal earlier, trying to figure out okay, they're licensing their stuff out to great developers, but are you guys self-funding it, self-publishing it? Can you talk about that relationship?
So we're publishing the game ourselves. We basically are working with Universal to release the game, but as we're Planet Coaster and Elite Dangerous, we're self-publishing it.
Okay, but they're footing the bill? Is that how it works?
No, I wish.
For this event at least, which is nice, I guess. So playing the game a little bit, I enjoyed it, and I was just trying to wrap my mind around how structured is this thing going to be? How much freedom are you allowing players? It was I guess strange to have a sim and then have mission objectives in the lower right. Is that throughout the entire game? Can you talk about that balance of player freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another one of the challenges with this particular management game is that we wanted it to have narrative elements. We wanted it to have a progression structure to make it kind of more substantial and also more accommodating perhaps to a broader audience. But at heart, you can still play it as if it's a sandbox. Each island you can restart and try it numerous times, however you want.
And you can just ignore missions?
Oh yeah. You can. I mean, you'll miss out on a lot of content, but I mean, you can certainly progress through the game and however you want to play it. If you want to pump out, 100 Struthia minuses on the first island, you can do, and you might make the next island. You have to generate the cash, and the best way of doing that, really, one of the best ways of doing that is by engaging with the missions that unlock items you can't get any other way.
Okay, so you unlock new islands with cash? It's just
so you unlock the new islands with what we call the island rating, and that's a kind of universal kind of marker of the success of your park. So if you've got great dinosaurs and you've got a great safe facility, then you can progress, and you don't necessarily have to have done the missions, but
Are you guys interested in a more sandbox, completely freeform approach for some players?
So obviously that's something that's been popular on previous games.
Yeah.
So it's something that we're looking into, but we're just talking about the career part of the game.
But you guys are hip. You know what players want.
Well, players want many things.
They do. Has anything surprised you talking to people after playing the game?
So we've been very pleased with the response of people coming out. And you've got a whole range of people, from those that are following the structured gameplay and the story missions, to others just going, well, here's 60 live goat feeders and just letting them roam free.
It's weird, man.
Yeah. I've been pleasantly surprised with how many people want dinosaurs to get out and chase guests, because I was worried that the dinosaurs would get out and it would ruin people's parks and stuff.
Oh,
but
no.
They love it.
I got to the point where I just destroyed my entire fence and was basically trying to corral the dinosaurs to get out there and start eating folks. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of that stuff on Twitch and whatnot.
Yeah.
Speaking about what players want, it's funny looking at Planet Coaster, and through the Steam Workshop, so many people added so many Jurassic Park elements to that game. Are you guys open to modding for this game?
So modding isn't something we're supporting on Jurassic World Evolution.
Ever?
Well, I've learned never to say never, but at the moment it's not part of the feature set. I mean, it is something we looked into because people are quite keen on that kind of thing, but it requires a whole extra level of sort of infrastructure and support that we're focusing on efforts on making this the best dinosaur game. And then we'll see where we go from there.
Interesting. Are you feeling confident you will have the assets in the game that people will want to play around with?
I'm sure there'll always be something that people want to play, but there'll certainly be for the gameplay that's in the game. There's everything that you need to support that, and there is quite a bit of variety to it there as well.
What about the old school fans?
Okay,
Are they going to be happy playing the game in terms of the asset set?
Well, I mean, when we were working with Universal, they were quite keen that it was across the franchise.
Okay.
Obviously, it's a Jurassic World game, so the primary elements are Jurassic World based, but there's some bits and pieces, but can't tell you too much right now, I'm afraid.
But you're aiming to make fans smile, I'd imagine.
I mean, a good example of that is that Dr. Ian Malcolm is one of our core. In fact, he is the core character in the game.
Yeah.
And he spans, the full history. So, yes.
Yeah, I think. I don't know if it was quite oohs and ahs, but there's definitely buzz in the room in the first gameplay demo when you guys went into the helicopter for the first time. I don't think people were expecting that level of, or just even that viewpoint. Can you talk about building out that tech for making that happen?
Well, I mean, our engine's pretty versatile. We've made Elite Dangerous a galaxy-spanning sort of flight combat and trading and exploration game. And then obviously there's Planet Coaster, which is creative and sort of managerial and sort of amazing. And on this one, we wanted to make sure that you could have those little hero moments. And it's nice to see the different perspectives as well. So when you're in the Jeep, you see the brachiosaurs just sort of towering above you.
Yeah.
And it just brings a sort of level of immediacy to the game. But it also means you can jump in and just take part. And that's one of the key elements in the films, is that sort of, it's all going wrong, but they do something about it. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here and there, people have been talking about, just at this event, about different ways that they've been playing. Do you guys have favorite little things that you can do in the game that maybe you wouldn't expect? I mean, I don't know if this is just best ways to F around, or just little details or ways you guys like to build your parks that you'd recommend for players to keep an open mind on?
Well, one that I tend to do, I don't know, it's just a bit of the obsessive side of me. I like to just build one creation lab, which is where your dinosaurs come out of. And then as soon as a dinosaur comes out that I want somewhere else, I'll tranquilize him and transport him, so that I save on creation labs, which is, I don't know, just me being obsessive and stingy, I suppose. But that's kind of my thing. But then you often forget about the dinosaurs coming out, and they kind of run riot in the enclosure. But I don't know. I think that's the way I tend to play.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a silly thing going on in the office at the moment, where using the terraforming to build ramps. So you don't have to go through the gates, you just jump over the fence.
So you take a Jeep and just fly over the gate and just land on a dinosaur? I love that you guys included the horn in there as well. It's such a small detail, but that's the first thing players will think of getting in that Jeep. I want to honk at my dinosaur.
Especially the smaller dinosaurs, they can get quite skittish around the vehicle.
That's awesome, man. What was the most challenging aspect of designing the game overall, Andrew? I mean, the early days, what did you beat your head against the desk on?
It's a tricky one. Think about that.
I think it's basically, I think for me, it was trying to make sure that we had the level of management at all the different levels. So you've got the macro progression, you've got the detail looking after your guests, you're caring for the dinosaurs. It's bringing all those elements sort of together and balancing them out. And yeah, we're still working on that.
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, I think the balance is it's still going on now. We're trying to refine the balance between building your park out and chaos happening effectively.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge, but also that sort of contrast between sandbox mode of play and more traditional progression. That's something that you don't really see a lot in these types of games, and so trying to get that balance right and accommodate all types of players is something else as well that we had to try.
Yeah, that was quite.
nail.
It wasn't so much a challenge, but it was quite exciting to be able to add some more sort of story and history to Jurassic World. So working through the divisions, you get to unlock this narrative. Find out a bit more about what's happening in the Jurassic universe.
So yeah, I was talking with the writer a bit about this process as well, with John, of just detailing those 5 islands for the first time. We've seen 2 of them, right? But beyond that, it's like it could be anything. So
don't forget, Nublar is not part of the archipelago. It's
Is that
completely
right?
separate. The 5 deaths are 5 separate islands. Sorna's one of them, and then there's 4 others. But Nublar is not part of it. It's slightly separate away.
Okay, well, let's get really nerdy here. What about like the geography of these islands? Are you like mapping out Nublar so that it has the areas and valleys from the films, and then
So-
Sorna trying to do the same?
We're not talking about Nublar at all at this event. We've got something special for that, which I can't talk about.
Okay.
But we're certainly looking at what the landscapes of the islands were, and then looking at the bits that we want, and they become the sort of the buildable areas. So
Yeah, it was interesting researching that because there's been a lot of work online to sort of try and figure out more precisely the sort of topographies of these different islands via snapshots of maps that have been shown in the films and things like that. So we tried to pick up on all of this and talk to Universal about it as well, of course. And I mean, it's probably worth mentioning that our islands, our kind of playable areas, are sections of the islands. So they're not the entire island, but we've kind of taken a little area of the island to sort
So
of
with
work.
Sorna, the section you can play in, is that an area that we've seen in 2 or 3?
I'm sure we can.
not sure about that.
Okay, interesting. How much can you vary island to island? Is it all like, I don't know, it's all in the same rough area of the world, or is it going to be like, this island is just pure lava?
Yeah, I mean, well, not lava, but each island will have its own mood and challenges. So we wanted each island to be different and to feel different when you progress. So you're at different times of day. There's different atmospherics. You've got different weather patterns. There's different topography. There's different sort of texture features. So
Hang on,
might
real
have a
quick, you said
beach.
different time of day. So the rest of the islands, there's no day-night cycle. It's set
No,
in a
it's
different
set
thing.
for, because we're using that deliberately as a mood-setting thing. So one of the islands is actually set at night with lots of storms and it has to be dangerous dinosaurs.
Yeah, it kind of
and-
keys in also
Yeah.
to some of the dinosaurs that you'll get at that point.
I think they'd be like a tourist looking at a brochure, like, which one do I go to? Let's go to the Jurassic Park that's set only at night and it's dangerous and stormy.
But it's not that particular island. Well, there is one island, Isla Muerta is actually the island of death, so
Yeah.
make of that what you will.
Intimidating names, don't
Yes.
they?
But in theory, like, you want tourists to come to all these islands?
So that's up to you and how you're playing it.
Okay.
So you have got the 3 divisions, and they kind of determine your reputation with them and what types of buildings you place.
Yeah.
Determine the makeup. So if you follow the science route, then you'll get lots of scientists walking around.
Yeah.
You generally always see a few tourists because if there's a dinosaur park going on somewhere, somebody's going to go and visit it.
Right. So I was thinking about, playing the game, different scenarios from the films that you can incorporate. I don't know if you guys have any deep cuts from films that you're just like, oh, this scenario can happen. Like, just super quick ones. Can kids visit the island?
No,
can't torture kids.
We're
Okay.
basically aiming for a kind of teen rating. So we will have dinosaurs killing people, but not children.
Okay.
So rather than make children immortal, we thought it would just make sense to.
Sure. Can you shoot flares?
We use flares.
So flares are used during the transport section. So
Oh,
when you
of
transport
course.
a dinosaur,
Yeah.
flares are set off to say, here's the start location and here's the end location. So that's how we kind of get those in.
Can tourists get eaten while going to the bathroom?
They can get eaten.
Can a dinosaur rip a bathroom apart and eat them?
There isn't a bathroom as such because we have the buildings and yeah.
Okay, you can use your imagination
Yes,
though. Okay,
but
you're not
they
going with
will
that.
take down humans.
Okay.
And it's worth bearing in mind that even the herbivores can be very dangerous.
Oh,
Every
interesting.
single dinosaur is a danger to your guests
Yeah.
if it gets out.
So one of the most interesting things of Jurassic World, and I assume it'll be carried through in some way in the ideas with Fallen Kingdom, is the idea of like brands and associating brands with dinosaurs and just the idea of just corporations taking over Jurassic Park. Did you guys toy with that idea of having Samsung as a building, or is that just a licensing nightmare?
We did, but I think there is a lot of licensing complications with that.
Yeah.
And obviously we're always sort of interested in opportunities, but the focus for us was just making sure it was authentic to Jurassic World.
Of course.
Some of the missions and some of the contracts kind of play on the idea of kind of the commodification of dinosaurs to some extent. Like you might sort of loan a dinosaur out, for example, on one mission. So yeah, there's elements that touch on some of the things, like you said, that came into Jurassic World towards the end. We kind of dabble with those a little.
There's certainly some external influence going on.
Yeah.
So storms can tear stuff apart. Can you have like a Nedry-like figure in your park?
So not him specifically,
Right.
But staff can be problematic.
And to the point that they just become suicidal or just like open up all the gates on their own.
So one of the consequences for going down working with one particular division more than others is that although you'll gain benefits from working with them and they'll give you kind of loyalty bonuses and stuff, there's the risk of sabotage if you go too far down one route. So there's some interesting sabotage events that could occur.
In the Nedry's case, it was basically he was being underfunded.
Right.
So the tech division, although we don't have a tech division, but the concept is the same. So he gets shirty and decides, right,
Gotcha.
there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Can a dinosaur swallow a cell phone?
No.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
Oh, well, actually, that's not true. Because people can have cell phones on them. And so if they swallow the person, they swallow the cell phone.
So, but it won't be ringing in their stomach like Jurassic Park 3?
No.
Okay, that's fine. So how much are you guys seeing this as like a platform moving into the future? Do you want to keep building on this for a long time instead of quickly
So,
breaking it out
I mean,
there?
at the moment, with this particular event, we're not talking beyond the initial release, but I
Okay.
think Frontier has shown that with titles before, we like to support things moving forwards.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on microtransactions? I'd imagine some fans are worried about a game like this.
I think Elite Dangerous is obviously a good example of the model we've taken. One thing that doesn't appeal to us for this game is the idea of loot boxes, that kind of thing. But certainly we'll see what evolves over the front. But we always like to make sure that there's value for money in what people are buying for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, hey, do you have anything else to add? Have you had a favorite moment in this game's development you want to share? Most pivotal moment?
When we first revealed that we were doing it,
Oh, of course.
that was awesome. And no matter how many times I hear that T-Rex roar, it just sends shivers down my spine.
Is that a tough one to get right?
It's fantastic. Our audio team, I mean, the whole team, I mean, across audio, animation, tech, design, it's just so many things coming together that it's just awesome.
On the audio front, this is such a tiny, nerdy detail, but when I was demolishing trees in the game, the sound of the trees being demolished sounds like a T-Rex like walking through the woods. It's such a small detail, but it's just, Do you guys, I guess I didn't hear it, but maybe it's because I didn't have electric fences, but do you have like the classic, just weird sound effects, like, ooh, what up, and other weird, small noises that are in that
so you've
original
got
film?
strange things going on, and you get the comms chatter, and there's a nice little touch where if you're in the 4x4, you get a local Spanish radio station from Costa Rica.
That's amazing. Wait, how do you program that?
But the audio team work wonders.
It's not a live radio station.
Oh man, that'd be so cool. That'd be so
Yes,
cool.
no, it's embedded in the game.
Sorry, Andrew, do you have a favorite moment from the game's development?
Well, in terms of playing the game, like storm chasing in the 4x4 is pretty awesome. When there's so later on in the game, we have tornadoes, so they'll rip through your park, and because your ranger team are also involved in repairing things as you get, things get demolished.
Yeah.
Kind of one of the best tactics is actually when you spotted a tornado and you've got time, drive after it with the 4x4 and like try and fix things on the way. And it was just a spectacular moment when I first did that.
cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, trying to fly a helicopter near it is quite stressful as well.
What about so in Fallen Kingdom we see that volcanoes going off on Sorna. Are volcanoes going to be an issue in this game then?
So I think that.
For Fallen Kingdom, there's a volcano. on
So I
Sorna?
really can't talk about Fallen Kingdom, I'm afraid, in any way, shape, or form.
Sure. All right.
Sorry.
That's totally fine. Hey, guys, thank you so much for your time. The
No
game
problem.
seems great, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.